Hi, I'm Carolyn Fay. I'm an actress, singer, songwriter, and a later-in-life emerging playwright. I've had the honor of being part of the 9th Filipino Hollywood Actors Panel, but look at you now doing your 10th panel. I wish I could be there, but work for me here in Canada is booming. Your work in showcasing Filipino talent is very important in representation and in bulldozing through the status quo. May you have many, many more panels so that the industry will finally recognize the value and input of our Filipino creatives.
Thank you so much for coming out today. This is the 10th, hence X. This is the 10th Actors Panel, which was founded by Edwin A. Santos, who we're going to introduce in a minute. But we're happy to have you here today with Fil-Am Creative. Fil-Am Creative was started about 14 years ago. Wow, we're really old. But we were started about 14 years ago, and we became a nonprofit about 5 years ago. And so I know that you might have seen the little QR code there. So all the events that we do throughout the year, the educational events, the parties, all these great things, they're done by fabulous volunteers, who you'll meet a lot of them today. And of course, because they're done by volunteers, we depend on the lovely support of folks like you. So if anyone wants to be so nice as to make a little donation on Venmo, we'd appreciate that. But other than that, we want you to be comfortable for a few hours. For the next 12 hours, I'm just kidding, for the next 4 hours, we're gonna have a nice event. We're gonna meet some great actors. But this event, through Fil-Am Creative, would not have been possible without our main producer who produced this from the first one. I was the moderator for 3 of these, and I'm happy to be working with him again. So he doesn't want to talk, but we do want to recognize him, so we want to acknowledge him. So please come up here and get some beautiful round of applause for Edwin A. Santos! You want to say a word? You want to say something? He does not want to say anything. So, all right, but he is an awesome actor and producer. You can watch his work online too. Thank you, Edwin, for always spearheading this, and we're happy to have the 10th one here with Fil-Am Creative. So without further ado, we want to get to the festivities because you certainly don't want to hear me talk all day. So I want to bring out our moderator for the day who's going to introduce you to these awesome actors. Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for our good friend, Mr. Jeff Francisco!
What's up, everyone? Y'all look beautiful. All the brown faces in the house, where you at? We have a great show for you guys today. We have some amazing actors, talented people, all Filipino background, to share with us their journey as a series regular. I am just proud of Edwin Santos for doing this for the last 10 years. Established in 1998, guys. Give it up for Edwin. As an actor, I've always craved to have a place like this where we could actually get to educate ourselves and share our stories with one another and have visibility in this town. One of our panelists for the second panel is here today. Her name is Giovanni Spiritu, who actually was the one who introduced me to Fil-Am Creative, and it's been a full circle because now I am one of the directors. I'm a director of live events, so thank you guys on behalf of Fil-Am Creative for being here. This is a nonprofit organization where we're all here to contribute to the community and to move the needle forward for Filipino creatives in Hollywood, and we all do this for free. So give it up for all the Fil-Am Creative officers here today. This would not be possible without them. But we have a show for you guys today. Without further ado, I want to introduce our special guest. We have Timothy Granaderos, Ellen D. Williams, We also have Kian Talan. On this side, we have Sam Morelos. And of course, we got Reggie Lee. And last but not least, we have Ashley Argota Torres. All right, let's get this party started. I'm gonna have to go around because the microphone doesn't reach.
Oh, sick. Okay. Here you go. Oh.
Oh, yeah, he gets commands. I guess I have my own mic over here.
What are we doing? Why are we just passing it down?
Why do you all look
just
so
hold it.
nervous? Come
I'll
on,
just
look at
hold it.
Give it up for
I'm
our
not
guest right
nervous.
now. You know, being a series regular is probably one of the most coveted achievements to have in Hollywood, right? Because if you do get a booking as a series regular, it means you're getting paid. You're getting paid, and you get exposure. And Hollywood is probably the top tier. It's the Olympics of acting, right? And these guys are pretty much gold medalists, right here. You guys got in, and you guys got it. Let's start with with Ashley. Ashley, you've been working for some time now. You started off as a child, right, actor. As a child, you started off as a baby, right? You were in Jackson VIP for how many seasons was that?
True Jackson was 3 seasons, and then I was on another Nick show after that for another 2 seasons.
Wow, that's amazing. And you also are in All American. You get to work with Tay Diggs.
I do. He's in 0 of my scenes, but he's great.
Oh, that's a bummer. You should renegotiate that with your agent. I guess one of the things that I wanted to talk to all of you guys about, we're going to go around the whole entire row, is getting that call when your agent calls you and says, you got it. You booked it. You booked the series regular. Can you just let us in on that and how that was like?
Oh wow. Okay. I was 15 when that happened, so I was a kid, and I had a really long audition process for True Jackson. It was my first network testing I'd ever done. So I was really nervous. It was also supposed to be my last audition ever. My mom was gonna pull me out of the business because I'd heard no so many times. I got rejected so many times, and so it was a really quite intense journey for me, and it was probably a 3 or 4 month process. And my last network testing was on a Friday, and I was in school at the time, so I did my network testing, and then I spent all weekend, I had so much testing to do, so I was doing math tests and science tests and all these different things. And I believe I was taking a science test that Monday, and I was homeschooled, so I was sitting at home doing my science test, and I got a phone call, and my whole team was on the phone, and they all screamed you got it, and I ran around my house and scared the dog, and I was so excited. It's a phone call that especially that young, I feel I was never expecting to get a phone call like that, and it was such a dream come true, and it started my whole career.
Give it up for Ashley, guys. That's amazing. Now, so Jackson VIP it's Nickelodeon, and it's a multicam. What was that like going into that for you, and what was your background that helped you succeed in that?
Yeah, Sam and I were just talking about this. I did a lot of theater growing up. It's where I started. So doing multicam, we were saying, is a lot like doing theater. We get to rehearse for the first 3 or 4 days of our week, and then we go up in front of an audience and we get to perform it for the audience. And it's so cool because we get you get feedback from the audience as you're doing it, so jokes are changing, and it's all very exciting. But I think my background in theater definitely helps. Sam, do you have anything you want to say to that?
Oh yeah. Introduce yourself, everyone. Hi, I'm Sam. Gee. Basically the same thing. I came from a largely theater background, so booking that 90s show was not the transition from theater into that 90s show wasn't as drastic, and I got in through the open call. I was still in school too. And I didn't have an agent, I didn't have a manager when I started the audition process. I just kind of submitted a video saying my name. And one thing I liked about the 90s, one thing I didn't like about the 90s. And I said denim on denim, and I stand by that. But yeah. Didn't like. I think it's grown. Oh, hey guys. Okay, wait. No, it's grown on me. I swear it's grown on me. I mean, JT and Britney Spears kind of killed it. I'm not gonna lie. Anyways, but totally deviated from the topic. But multicam. Yeah, the way that everything is set up is there is a fourth wall, so very similar to theater. You're not really catering to the camera at all because, well, you got to cheat out a little bit, but other than that, it's exactly like theater, and you kind of just go. There's the 3/4 stance where you're just a little bit out to the camera, but other than that, you're just doing life as you would. So theater really helped me out in that multicam sense. But yeah, that's all I have to say about it. And I'm passing it back.
That's all. Give it up for Sam Morelos, everyone. From the 90s show, she plays Nikki. Which I was like, 70s show made a 90s show. They just skipped the 80s altogether. They're like, no? Yeah, I guess it wasn't successful, right? Well, we're glad that your show is a success. And you get to work with the old crew, right? You got Ashton, you got me.
You got Laura, you got Wilmer. I was a that 70s show fan too because Netflix put it on during quarantine, and I binge watched all 8 seasons of it. So I was already a fan when I booked it, and it was just a mind-blowing thing. To be in the basement, I think I cried a little when I was.
That's amazing. We all wanted that experience, and you got it. You got it. Give it up again for Sam Morelos, everyone. We have another comedy veteran over here as well. Ellen D. Williams, you've done some comedy yourself, right? You were in How I Met Your Mother with Neil Patrick Harris as the lovable Asian Pinay coworker, right? The token Pinay coworker. Everyone has a Filipina coworker, right? And you played that really well. Such a delightful character. And you were also freaking Zach Galifianakis' wife in Baskets. How awesome is that?
Pretty awesome.
And now that's a single cam, right? For that. How was that for you? First of all, let us in on your journey on you getting that call and how that was like for you.
You can hear me, right?
Yeah.
Never been known to not be heard. I actually have never been a series regular, so I am not in this group of series regulars. I've been a reoccurring guest star twice, and my journey is very different than most. Most people are co-stars, guest stars, recurring guest stars, turned series regulars, and my trajectory was a co-star that turned into a recurring guest star on How I Met Your Mother, and then I proceeded to book another recurring guest star, and then have since then done a multitude of other things like co-star, guest star. So your trajectory can look however it's going to look. If you're working, and that's the best part. So don't always think that like that's how it has to look. That's not the framework, and especially nowadays, it's not the framework. How I Met Your Mother was actually a hybrid, multicam / single cam because we didn't shoot for a live audience. So we had a schedule a lot like a multicam show, but they would show the edited episode to an audience and then record it, record the laughter. So that's why you hear it and you think, oh, if you watch the show, you think, oh, it was shot in front of a live audience. And then single cam, and I very much agree,
That's awesome. Give a round of applause for Ellen D. Williams, everyone. And I mean, to say, that a recurring guest star is pretty much kind of now the new series regular anyway, because yes, they're for cost. Yeah, because they will make you into a regular character, but won't give you the series regular.
If a fractional, I recently learned what fractional means, so if you don't know what that means, it just means that you are on the show on a certain amount of episodes. You unfortunately don't get paid what a series regular gets paid, unless you can kind of, eventually work that into your contract, but that's what that means, so. in case you
I see you twitch a little bit, Queer Reggie. Do you have? Is it? Can we turn down? Can we turn down the AC? You can move forward a little bit too. You can move forward or back. Wherever. This is just for aesthetics. You guys can move around as you please. There you go. Amazing. See. These TV stars are also humans too. Okay. So guys, unfortunately, we do have to talk mic just so that we can capture it on video.
That's all right.
But while I have you, Reggie Lee, everyone, he is, to me at least, I feel like is legendary just because you have paved the way for a lot of Filipinos in this industry. You've been doing this for quite some time, and you've worked a ton. Most definitely on Grimm as a series regular at that. Also, you got to work alongside me on The Lincoln Lawyer. No, I got to work alongside. We never actually were on set together. I don't want to. Have you guys seen The Lincoln Lawyer yet, by the way? I am his hired muscle. Not too much muscle here, but but you also have worked on All Rise as a series regular, and you have been paving the way at this. And I remember when I started auditioning years ago, I would see you in a lot of the credits and like, wow, there's a Filipino doing it, and how amazing is that? And that was kind of my inspiration for wanting to keep on going because I saw you doing it, it made me want to keep on going, right? So thank you for being here, and what an amazing thing that is. One of my questions for you is, what was your experience like from way in the beginning, and what is it like for you now, and what has changed? Like, how much time you got? I mean, just Cliff's Notes over here.
This is the Cliff's Notes version. Back when I started, it was like I was telling these guys, I was playing all bad guys. I mean, it started with Fast and the Furious, the first one way back in, I don't know. It was like 22nd anniversary. It was crazy. I didn't know what I was doing. I was getting on a bike. I was shooting a gun. They were fitting me for a helmet, and off you go, shooting Vin and Paul. So, but it was, it really was, there was no concern about representation. It just was, here are the roles that are available to me. Here's what I'm being sent out for. How do I humanize this particular character? Because it was what was available to us. So those are the roles that I took. And I remember 2009 or 2008, they came to me with a role opposite Jason Statham for this film called Safe. And it was another bad guy, and I was like, I don't want to play any more bad guys. And then I read that it was like, this bad guy that kidnaps someone from China, and they bring her over, and she becomes like a child to him. And so I was like, there was that whole other aspect of it, and I thought, this is interesting. I like this. And then Grimm came along, and that was the year actually that 2009. I remember testing for The Mentalist, and it was down to myself and Tim Kang. Tim got it, and then the next year, and I'd never tested before. There was nothing for us to test for, really. I mean, nothing. So Grimm came. The next season, I suddenly was testing for 5 different things. Grimm came along, and testing you guys is a bitch. It is like you literally go to the first call, then you have a callback, then you may have another callback, then they take you to what's called studios. So you say it's NBC Studios and NBC Network. So you go to Universal and you test for the studio people, which is like this. So there's like 50 people out there, and you're up here doing the scene. So and they're filming you. So, and there's that, and then you go out, and before that, they make you sign your contracts. Like, they make you negotiate everything before you even test. So that happens, and then they narrow it down, and then they take you to network, and then the same thing happens again. And I remember that year, Grimm, I was up for Sergeant Griffin, which is the second lead. David Gentoli's sidekick, and it was between me and Russell Hornsby and another actor, Caucasian, shall not be named. Yeah, and I literally, after about 30 minutes, they called, they said, hey, unfortunately, we really loved you, but that role's gonna go to Russell, and I thought it should have because he was amazing, but we really liked you, so we're gonna write a role for you. So they wrote Sergeant Wu, and they said, can we add another series regular? And they said, and Grace Wu, who was at the time the head of casting at NBC, said, yes, you may, as long as you name him after me. So I was named after Grace Wu. Sergeant Wu was named after Grace Wu over at NBC. And then after that, it just, it's like All Rise, that came in 2019. I had booked another pilot, which didn't go, for CBS. And then they offered me a recurring on that, which in the second season they made into a regular. There's that aspect, which I really love. Where it's like, I love that, where it's like, I don't have to test. I mean, literally, when I got Grimm, they were like, do you want to take this? I was like, yes, please. I want to be done with testing, because it's a bitch. But at the same time, it's like what I encourage other actors to do now. It's like, really, if there was anything that I could tell my younger self, it was to own your work. Is to really go in there and make it yours and it be about you and not be about them. And you have to kind of train that mentality for yourself daily. As an actor, I think 99% of our job is psychological. So keep a healthy frame of mind. But that's up to now, and now we're kind of trying to create things with the Grimm showrunners and trying to forward Filipino Americans and trying to write stories for us with people that I've worked with for a lengthy period of time, 6 seasons, and it's a love fest. And I love that they're helping me put this forward because they know what the hell they're doing, and I'm a newbie. So, but I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying getting us out there. So, nutshell.
Reggie Lee, everyone. Give it up for Reggie. I will go back to that because I do have some questions about, what back then there was no representation, so you just took whatever you can get. But now that there are representation for Asians, most especially this year with Oscar wins and Filipinos in the mainstream like Joe Coy, we now. And this is gonna go for all of you, but I want to get to our other drama dudes over here as well, because I love that the females are all comedians or in comedy, and then you got all the fellas that are like, deep into drama, which. I know Timothy Granaderos, everyone, from 13 Reasons Why.
Yep.
That was a very similar experience for you as well, as far as getting a series regular on 13 Reasons Why, right? Can you let us in on that, or how did that work out for you?
Yeah, it's kind of similar to what you were saying. I came on as like let me go back. The audition process was I auditioned for 4 different characters on that show. Network, I did the testing situation, producers, all that stuff. And then I think on the 5th audition they sent me, I basically told my manager, I was like, I'm not getting on this show. It's not gonna happen. I was going on a trip that weekend with my buddy who's not an actor at all, Ben Weston, my childhood friend. My brother and sister are in the audience, so I'm confirming with them. Hey.
Give it up for the Granaderos family back there.
And so we're going away for the weekend. I get this audition. It's 3 pages. I hit up my manager. I'm like, I don't think I'm going to do it. It's not going to happen. And he's like, just do it. So I put it on tape with my buddy, went away for the weekend, and then, I got the call from the producers that I had been cast as Montgomery, who was not in the book. He was just he was a supplemental character. I think I was supposed to do 3 episodes, and, kind of similar to what Ellen was talking about. It's like, you get there, you do your stuff, and then, they write for you. So I ended up staying for 4 seasons. Seasons 3 and 4, I became a series regular, and I lived up in the Bay Area, and I mean, it was obviously the show that kind of changed my life for sure. I'm very grateful for that. But yeah, I mean, I'm not a theater kid. I came from sport. I played soccer, so I'm not like you guys, but I am. Well, I'm becoming.
You played my son.
I did.
In a theater production.
I did. It was amazing. I was terrified.
He is becoming a theater.
Oh, I want to. I'm a theater. I'm a theater kid. But yeah, my background is I played soccer all the way through college, and to be honest, our academic advisor tried to lighten our load a little bit because we were traveling for soccer. We were away on the weekends. We were practicing. And they were like, here, take these acting classes, these theater classes, because, it's kind of an easy A. And to be honest, my favorite classes all throughout college. So it kind of stuck with me. My sister was living, do I keep going or are we good? All right. My sister, she a makeup artist. She was living out here in LA. She was like, come on out, I'll get you a job as a production assistant. And so I graduated from Michigan State University, go green. And then she got me a job as a PA on a reality show called She's Got the Look. She doesn't even remember. And then started working in production, and then realized I had a lot in common with these guys, so started taking classes, and now I got a mic in my hand, so. What's up?
Give it up to Timothy Granaderos, everybody. How do you land an agent right after that, or how was that for you with
So I kind of started modeling and doing commercial acting, and then from there started taking scene study classes. Started taking scene study classes, and then from there, I pitched myself to agents and stuff, and then got signed, and then after 13 kind of took off. I signed with Gersh. So, yeah.
Gersh, everybody.
Gersh. Well, shout out to Gersh.
If y'all know Gersh, they're up there.
All right.
But so you look nothing like a Filipino.
I got the star. I wore the star just to make sure you guys knew. I wasn't just some random white dude on stage.
When I met this dude, I was like, he's Filipino? What the hell?
Yeah, come on.
And guys, there are people in the back who wants to sit down. We have some more available chairs over here if you guys want to trickle in.
There's a couple in front right here.
So. There's a lot right here.
One right here. Oh.
But just going back to Tim, your Montgomery was just a 3-episode character.
Yep.
They made you into a series regular, and they asked you for a last name. What was that last name?
So I think season 3, I was talking to the showrunner, and he was like, "Hey, we wanna." When I became a regular, he was like, "I want to give Montgomery a last name," and he learned that I was Filipino, and so he gave him a Filipino last name. So it's De La Cruz, Spanish.
De La
Filipino,
Cruz.
But yeah, so.
Give it up. Well,
De La Cruz.
What a way for representing, though. And that's representation at its finest. We gotta make sure we're visible and seen, and our last names are seen out there, and the characters that we play are very much that. Let's go into Kian Talan, guys. Give it up for Kian Talan, aka Vanessa Lachey's son.
Don't call me that.
Not in real life.
I'm just kidding.
So you're kind of a tech geek.
Yeah, I was actually working a 9 to 5. I got my degree in computer science. I never thought I was going to be an actor. Then I booked the job. It's actually not like their story. I got my first audition, and a week later, I went straight to test. And then, yeah, I know, it was crazy. It was the craziest experience. And I found out I got the role an hour after I tested for the show. And yeah, it was crazy.
Wow.
And then I showed up to work the next day and I was like, peace, I'm going to Hawaii to shoot the show. And this is not what happens though. I know because I tested for a show like a week ago and didn't get it and cried for like, I just stopped crying actually. So yeah, it's all right. I'm recovering. It's fine.
Like, no lie, that was my next question. Is like to everyone here with like, what? Yeah, you guys are series regulars, or you are regular on show, regularly working. What was your biggest heartbreak of
that was
audition?
it. That was it. Because when you test, they didn't say this, but you see like all the money you're going to be making. You see all the opportunity.
Ka-ching, ching.
And you have to sign the contract before you audition, too. So you're like, oh, this is going to be amazing. And then they tell you you didn't get it. And then your life is over. So, yeah, that's the way it is, basically.
Your life is not over.
Thanks. Thank you.
Are you still on NCIS Hawaii? Is that?
I am, but because of what's happening right now, we don't know when we're going to go back, but hopefully soon.
Like the fate of all of our
yeah.
shows. That's amazing. You probably have the best job than anyone else here. You get to freaking work in Hawaii.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not like a massive fan of hikes or beach, so I don't know.
What is wrong with you, bro? What is wrong with you?
I know.
I'll take your job. I'll be Vanessa Lachey's son.
Perfect. You would be great.
How was that? What was the experience there working, with someone like Vanessa Lachey on such a iconic franchise like NCIS, now that it's in Hawaii, and it's a whole new chapter of that. What was that like for you?
Totally. Since we're being open here, so I think this is like really deep, so like get ready for this, but it's like a story I've wanted to share for like a very long time. I think as a Filipino actor, like skin color is like a very, like I wouldn't like go out in the sun because I'd be worried about getting too dark and not being able to play a character. But on NCIS, they actually put makeup to make me darker because the entire crew is like all Asian, they're all like Filipino, so like that moment was just like a crazy moment for me that I could just like be myself. And yeah, I think that you book things that you need in your life, if that makes sense. And this was definitely one of them for me.
So that was your decolonializing your mind.
Yeah, I was like, this is crazy. I was like,
guys, we have to decolonize our minds. That's what gets in the way of why we don't go far in life or in progression in this.
For sure.
But that's a whole other panel right there.
Yeah.
Ariana Bosco over here will talk about that with me. What up, Nikki, Ariana? All the homies showed up. Thank you guys for pulling up. Amazing. That's a very profound thing to experience as a Filipino, and considering that that's something that we all are inundated with, right? Like, what was your experience like being, there's all types and colors of Filipinos up here right now. Some of you look more Filipino than others. Some don't look like it at all. Was that something that helped you or hindered you in your career? I know that for me, when I first started auditioning, and we'll go into this with the second panel, I was told that I would have more success in independent films because ethnic, I wasn't meant for mainstream or whatever, and I never believed that for 1 second, and that's why I kept on chugging along and went for the mainstream stuff anyway. Took forever, but what was it like for you guys? Let's start with you, Tim.
I didn't hear the question at all, to be honest. I was handing out
how your appearance, whether you look more Filipino or not, if that played into, how did that play into you getting roles or not getting roles?
Okay, so yeah, I look pretty Caucasian, I think. Okay, where do we begin? All right, so yeah, when I first started out, like ambiguously ethnic. That's what everyone cast me as. No one really knew. I think the first role that the first big role I booked for a Fox pilot, I was Hispanic, and I had to say calmate, and they were like, "That's not how you say it," and I was like, "That's how I say it." But yeah, no, there are advantages to it for sure, or so I thought. I could be this or that, and then only recently, I think Easter Sunday was the first Filipino American breakdown I had seen, and from there, obviously, there are more opportunities now. But I'm realizing how important it is to, bring our own stories to the art. I am Filipino American, and I do look like the next white guy in the audience, really. But my story is different than the next person, so ambiguously ethnic, no more. I'm Filipino, baby!
Filipino!
Hey, Filipino!
Go ahead, Ellen.
It's a little. I mean, I'm older, so it's different for me because I actually do have a white father, but I look very Filipino. I know. See, and I'm not one who has siblings, so you know how that happens too. Like siblings look very different if you have a mixed kind of, if you have biracial parents. It very different for me. As I said, I am older and I've been in this business for a while, and I never got the privilege really of going, well, how Filipino should I look for you, or how not less Filipino? It was like Asian, that's it. That was the role. Or I'd go out for Chinese, which I am part, or I'd go out for other ethnicities. And I think the bigger question for me is more of like, what was I asked to bring to those parts, and those were very uncomfortable situations, like, oh, you want me to do an accent that I don't know really how to do. I know how to do it because I've had training, but I don't represent that group. And it wasn't really until recently, and because I have the privilege to say this, I've had to tell my reps, please don't send me out for like Latin A roles. I totally could play someone Latin, but I don't want to take that job away from somebody else. But again, that's not if you are someone who does that there's no judgment on that. I just, like I said, I'm able to have the privilege to go like, oh yeah, I don't want to do that. I can skip that job, and I'd rather have someone who really represents that role have it. So I got really real with my reps and just said, unless it's specific to someone who's Filipino, or if it's Asian, that's fine. Also specific to my age group, then don't send me out for it. So it's been a different kind of ride for me because, it was more of like, well, I'll take what I can get. But now things are changing, thank God, and I do think that is a trickle-down effect from the way people are looking in higher up positions. It's the way a writer's room is starting to look different. So we're going to see more people that look like us and other people of color, because those stories will be told because of the people in the room that are writing them, the people above them who are executive producers who are people of color, and people at the studios and networks who are people of color. So I say give it another 10 years. But I think in the past 10 years, we've very much advanced, and we're seeing less Asian and more Filipino. Patrice, my character in How I Met Your Mother, was specifically, she was actually based on a certain person, so I didn't know this, but hers was specifically Filipina. They were looking for a Filipina, and I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. But it was very rare for me to see specifically Filipina. We're like the second largest Asian American group in the United States. And there's literally, like, of what I heard of recently, like 13 or so like Filipino writers in the Writers Guild. I mean, that's insane, So my big thing is when I do panels, it's like, if you don't see yourself, write it. You have no excuse anymore. You have a computer, you have this little thing that we carry around that you could attach to your head at this point, to write, to shoot it on that phone, and then you've got numerous platforms to put it on. YouTube, anything, social media, If your story isn't being told, if you're not seeing yourself, Do it, do it, do it, do it, do it. Make
Oh,
it.
yeah. I love that. Give it up for Ellen, guys.
Honestly, I forget what the question
Well,
was.
you kind of it came from you. It's because of your
it came from
experience of
me?
being
Oh, well,
Filipino
you're welcome.
and not looking Filipino enough apparently for them. But I guess we could go to Sam. Like, you look mixed, right? Do you get that? Do you go out for that a lot? Like,
I actually get that a lot, that I look mixed, except for the fact that well, it's funny to me because both of my parents are immigrants from the Philippines. I'm a first gen. So having that, like hearing that, like, oh, what are you really? Like, are you half white? Are you half black? Are you like, just having ambiguous kind of stuck on my head kind of feels odd because I feel so wildly Filipino and so proudly Filipino. Like in my normal jargon, I have Filipino sound effects, and like that's what I call them at least. I say sus mariosep on a daily basis, and I know that that is like something that my great grandmother would have said, but I say it anyways. But for me, everything that I've gone out for has never even said Asian. It's all just said open ethnicity. So they're open for anyone. So that just also means that the pool of talent and competition is so much larger. So what I try to bring to all of my auditions is not anything specifically Filipino or anything specific to my ethnicity, but just something very individual and authentic to me. Because every single vessel, regardless of ethnic background or cultural background or the way that you're raised, every single vessel is so unique and so different. And that's the thing that you bring into the audition room that can completely change other people's minds. My character's name was initially Nisha instead of Nikki, and Nisha is normally an Indian name. So it was open ethnicity, but they were kind of looking for an Indian American to play my role. And the producers just saw something in me that was not Nisha, but Nikki. And that's really all you can do in an audition room. And when you see all these breakdowns and casting calls, whether they're Filipino or just Asian or open ethnicity, is bring not only your culture, but bring parts of yourself and just your personality and your perspective. Because everyone experiences life in a different way, and you bring that into your character's choices, and that's how you your experiences inform your character's choices too. So being a first generation Filipino American who has it's not only part of my DNA, but it's also just part of my everyday life, being surrounded by Filipino culture. So, and I let that inform my choices. And that's just all you can do at that point. And hope for the best, hopefully, and just hope and pray that you see Filipino on the casting breakdown, but you can bring that story into everything you do. Because for Nikki, she doesn't even have a last name yet. Season 2, I'm holding out. In my brain, I already gave her a last name. It's Pangalinan. She is Nikki Pangalinan to me. But she doesn't do anything initially Filipino in the show, but because I'm Filipino, she is Filipino. And that's it. So you can bring that flavor to any character. And that's what I try to do. And I'm still trying. I'm still trying to figure it out. But that's how it is.
She just turned 18, guys. Let's relax here. Okay.
July 7th is when I turn 18.
Oh, okay,
but,
sorry.
2 weeks. But yeah, that's all I've got to say.
give it up for Sam Morelos again. That's awesome. Dude, for as young as you are, you've accomplished a lot, and that's great. And we need that energy to keep moving forward, right? Let's go to you, Reggie. I know that when you got the Lincoln Lawyer, it was literally a Filipino character, and one of the few that you actually.
First part of my career, I played no Filipino.
Same. I mean, I was like, Filipino, Alvin Aquino, what the hell? What is the world turning into? And it was like a great surprise. Can you tell us about like what that process was like for you? I know you got to collaborate a little bit and really create your character and even speak Tagalog in that.
Yeah, it all kind of went back to Grimm, actually, and I'm going to keep moving up until I'm in y'all's laps, because it's freezing cold right there. So I'm going to move up here. Grimm was the first time they said, "Oh, we're going to explore." They said, "Are there any myths from the Philippines?" And I said, "Are you kidding me?" I said, "They live and breathe on myths in the Philippines. It's an island nation." So and they said, "Can you recommend some?" And I said, the manananggal, yung duende, at saka yung aswang. So, and then they were like, "We're going to go with the aswang." So I said, "Okay, that's wonderful." So we did. Elaine Uy was on that episode with me. Tess Paras played my ex-girlfriend in that episode. Frida Foshen played Elaine's mother. And it was one of the first instances where I was like, holy crap, we are doing an entire Filipino episode. And it was unbelievable to do it, to speak Tagalog, to get just the entire exploration of the aswang was brilliant to me, and it remains one of the top 2 most watched episodes for Grimm. So that's become very popular in the Philippines. But it was the first time I literally, when it aired, I went home, I was like, because they tell us to like tweet, right? He's like, "Can you do like let's just tweet during the show, live tweet during the show." So I was like, live tweet during the show. My family came over, we got food, and suddenly I kept getting these tweets back from Filipinos around the country and going, "This is what our table looks like. We're here for the episode. This is what our table looks like. We're here for the episode." And it was amazing. So that was the first kind of inclination that I was like, wait a minute. We are the second largest Asian American community in the United States, yet the least represented in the media, because they don't know where to put us. Are you Spanish? Are you Asian? What are you? So these are the things, and as I went along, it's very rarely Filipino. I mean, bless this generation that gets open ethnicity. For us, it was like, it was so staunch and just, here's what it has to be. Here's what it has to be. And rarely, even nowadays, do you see Filipino. So when they offered this to me and I read the breakdown, I was like, oh, Filipino. So I read it. I was like, okay, I kind of like this. I spoke to the showrunner, Ted Humphries, and that's when we collaborated. And I said, you know what? I want to speak Tagalog and I want to speak English with no accent. So, but these are the things that I think are really important. And I think because they don't know where to put us. It's really important that the quality of our work is, you got to check that. Like I tend to, even now, any roles that I do, I dig in. I mean, I dig in. It's just fun, but there is, I feel like a little bit of, not so much pressure, but I think there's some kind of pressure to go out and put good work out there. Because when they see it, it's going to be like, we don't want it to be anything but that. So I implore all of you to really do your work, and I'm sure you're all wonderful. But that's always the quality control of your own work. As we Filipinos start to come out, and yes, now it's about writing our own material, and it's about humanizing that. Like you said, it's like, this is the human experience, and it's interestingly enough that you talk about that, about bringing authenticity to your characters and bringing you to your characters. This was not how I was trained. I was trained way back then to, you go to that character and you make yourself that. Not you take that and you bring it to you. And you make it special because it's you. And this is what people want nowadays. And this is what you still have to honor the time periods, you still have to honor all that kind of stuff. But because of that, I'm discovering a whole new chapter in my life where I'm excited about acting again, because that's lovely. But, for Filipinos, this is an integral time for us to really do quality work and put it out there. Not just any work, quality work. Because we want that to show, because we want to start being part of this community, and we should be. We should have been a long time ago, but we will be.
That's amazing. Thank you for that. Ashley, you started at a very young age, and as a child actress, then growing up into, you're a returnee for the Actors Panel. You have been a guest before. You were a child back then. Now you are married. You're a full-grown adult. And yeah, tell us how does it feel to be back?
Feels great to be back. I think when did I do this? 2015, I think, is the last time I did this panel. So I think at that point, I didn't really, there was a long time where I was like so confused almost as to why so many people were being like, oh my gosh, you're Filipino. People would get so excited about it. And I was just like, yes, I am, of course. And I think in this past 8 years that I haven't done this panel, I think I've gained so much more understanding of it. I started off just like you guys, I was never going out for Filipino roles and no open ethnicity roles. It was always Spanish or Chinese or just ethnicities that I didn't know anything about the culture really. And now it's a lot better. Now I am going out for open ethnicity things. I think that's really exciting. I think I've learned so much more about the Filipino culture in that time. I think the roles have gotten so much better for the Filipino culture in that time. Kind of similar to you guys, I've been acting since I was 5. I got my first starring role in anything last year. So it was amazing. Yeah, it was great. And while they were not looking for a Filipino person specifically to play this role, I ended up getting the role. And what I was so touched by is that the production, when I got it, they asked, what do you want your last name to be? You're Filipino, so you should pick the last name. We picked Flores. And then they hired a Filipino man to be my dad. He calls me Anak in it, and they found little pieces where we could bring my culture into it. And it was to go from I think when I was 8, I was on Mad TV, and I was a Chinese girl on Mad TV, which was so crazy to me to go from that to starring in something where they were like, hey, what pieces of your culture do you want to bring to this, is so incredible, and it's so wonderful that it has grown that much. I know we still have such a long way to go, but to see it grow that much has been really, really wonderful.
Yes, give it up. What is that starring role? Tell us about it.
It's you guys know those Hallmark movies, the rom-coms that y'all love so much. You just know how it ends. You know how the whole story's gonna go. It's one of those. Yeah.
Are you not allowed to talk about it yet? No.
I don't know when it's coming. I don't know what is happening or when it's coming out or what's going on. It's called Modeled with Love. So if you guys see Modeled with Love anywhere, that's the one. And he calls me Anak, and we eat lumpia in it, and it's great.
Modeled with Love, everyone. Make sure you look out for that. Give it up for Ashley. It's amazing. Welcome back. Also, we have so many more questions for all these guys. Thank you guys for all coming out today just to celebrate this 10th Actors Panel. It's such a big deal for us, and for, Edwin has been doing this. And one of the things that inspired me about Philam Creative is because they put programs like this where we have panels and we get to really get to know our fellow Pinoys on screen, and really just give us some insights on what it's like to really, get in and pursue this dream that is, many times it's so hard. It's almost like, climbing Mount Everest sometimes, and it feels isolating. And for you all to share what that's like. Thank you on behalf of everyone here. We have another panel coming up. We're going to take a break. There's more food. Feel free to mingle. And we'll see you in about 20. Give it up for your guests, Timothy Granaderos, Ellen Williams, Kian Talan, Sam Morelos, Reggie and Ashley Argota Torres.